Hi, I'm Sarah Farmer from Able and Extraordinary, where there's no labels, no limits. On my website at ableandextraordinary.com, I talk about the pillars of success. And the first pillar is explicit instruction. Whether you are learning reading, math, how to cook, you need explicit instruction to learn. Well, what do we know about learning? Why is this approach necessary? How do we do it? As with all my pillars, they are based on research and what we know. There's been a multitude of studies on reading, and over the last decade, more studies on brain function. They actually have fMRIs that show the brain while reading, and it has impressive results. So, what is learning? Let's look at the brain and the most complex type of learning that we do as humans, reading. There are three elements or components of reading: language, decoding, and comprehension. Each element requires a different region and a different cognitive function. So when fluently reading, all regions and all functions involved in language and decoding and comprehension must be integrated and working together. The brain must build pathways, and the first pathway starts with language. Once an individual establishes language, specifically oral language, they can use that language to build word knowledge. That word knowledge is then used to decode, and after decoding, go on to be able to understand what you're reading, to comprehend what you're reading, to get meaning from what you read. So what happens if one region or one cognitive function is delayed? This data represents how Florida students are performing at reading compared to students across the U.S. As you see that although there has been an increase in performance since 1992 to 2019, only 38% of students are performing at the proficient level. So what's causing these delays, and how can we improve students' performance? To find out why students struggle, an assessment must be completed. Often that assessment does not provide a root cause, which it can be very frustrating, but that assessment can provide the area or areas of the delay. It can pinpoint or target the areas to address, to support, and provide explicit instruction. Assessment can provide an understanding of where the student is within their reading development within each of these phases. An assessment might also be able to pinpoint the brain function where there's a deficit. It could be visual, auditory, memory, organization, attention, problem solving. There are so many brain functions that go into reading, and it is important to target and to pinpoint where those deficits lie. I'll be talking more about assessment in a later video, but this stage is very important to truly understand where those deficits lie in order to target instruction and provide that explicit instruction that will support students to make progress in the area that they most need. Explicit instruction is a research-based and proven technique in addressing specific competencies and deficits of a skill. Explicit instruction provides a student with 1. What is expected, 2. What is being learned, and 3. How can it be used? It breaks down a task into I do, we do, you do, and slowly releases the student towards completing a task independently. With explicit instruction, and based on assessment results, individualized strategies are embedded to promote engagement, motivation, and metacognition, and filling in any missing background knowledge. Now you know how I can support your child at Able and Extraordinary, whether they're struggling with reading, math, how to cook, or apply coping skills. My assessment and explicit instruction can be utilized. It's the individual focus that makes the difference. It's a chance that I get to know your child, how they learn, what they like, what their goals are, and to work with them individually to reach their highest potential. Remember, at Able and Extraordinary, there's no labels, there's no limits, only learning. Please check out my website and contact information and get in touch with me today for your free consultation. Thank you.